I want to talk about this article today. Study examines carbon footprint of urban farming.
I give up. We should all give up our home gardens. Or at least that's what this article seems to say.
We're going to talk about this.
Hey, Stack. I'm seeing more than one article about this.
Right, well, there are at least 2 articles and other media outlets referring to a study which claims that
home gardening has a 5 times higher carbon footprint than conventional agriculture.
Yeah, these articles reference a study which we'll delve into shortly. Make sure you stay to the end where we'll talk about the most unfortunate part of this whole thing. But before we do, who is this? And Bo, you want to do the honors?
Absolutely. Meet MEKARE, a friend of ours in Texas who has a permaculture gardening YouTube channel, More Prana Gardens.
She won our name contest when we were trying to come up with a name for, well, you can say my alter ego, Bo.
Let the contest begin.
And we'll have to give a little credit to Cassie, my sister-in-law, who came up with the spelling B-E-A-U-X. Regarding the carbon footprint study that specifically targeted urban gardens, I would like to share a few thoughts. And if you're interested in a detailed analysis, I highly recommend you watch MEKARE'S full video, where she highlights significant issues that this study failed to consider in their data.
I think you can tell how I feel about this study.
I completely share MEKARE'S frustration on this.
I'm baffled at the things that they didn't look at. It's a very, 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 very incomplete study. There was no mention of tillage. When a conventional agriculture operation goes through and tills up acres and acres and kills all of that soil life and disrupts all of that soil and kicks all of that carbon back into the air that was sequestered in the ground, they didn't look at that.
The average head of broccoli you buy in the grocery store traveled 1,800 miles to get to that store.
Let's say you live in Florida and you grow bananas. So instead of buying your bananas from across the world with all this air freight and all of this ground freight, you're going to the backyard, right? They didn't look at that. That's a problem.
I agree that this is, well,
They're bull stuff.
This appears to be a classic example of someone attempting to selectively use data in order to support their position. However, it is important to note that the study itself is not as negative as the articles portray it to be. The study, for the most part, deserves credit for transparency and acknowledging some of the significant gaps in data. But this seems to be a distraction from the conversation we really should be having. And if you've been following my channel recently, you know how I feel about the unsustainability of our current conventional agriculture system. If you aren't familiar with regenerative agriculture, I recommend you check out this other video by finding the link in the description. What's the most unfortunate part of all this?
I don't know, Stack. The distraction point you just made was quite poignant.
Regardless of where the story was picked up by media outlets, the majority of people unfortunately tend to only read the headlines and let that influence their perception of home gardening.
Grow your own food. If you do build your raised beds out of brand new 2x4s, you're still growing your own food. Your food is not being shipped from across the world. If you grow only your tomatoes and your lettuce, you are doing a great job. I'm gonna stop ranting and I am gonna go drink some tea maybe and try to calm myself down. I'm kind of irritated.
MEKARE made so many great points, and to see the full video, check out the link up here or the end screen of this video or the link in the description. Are you ready, Bo?
Live regeneratively.
And let's grow abundant home gardens together.